Hello, my name is Hirokazu Yasuhara, and I directed this movie, Sonic the Hedgehog. It came out in 1991, and it was a blockbuster hit. I mean, it was great. Everybody saw it. It was written by the talented Yuji Naka. Now, I'm not sure if you remember in the late 80s, early 90s, there was this character, this red plumber by the name of Mario. He was everywhere, lunchboxes, TV shows, cat food, you name it. Back then, people wouldn't even use a bathroom unless it had a colorful mascot. So, our character designer, Naoto Oshima, decided to reverse engineer the perfect counter mascot to Mario. So, what's the opposite of red? Blue. What's the opposite of plumber? A hedgehog. What's the opposite of coins? Rings. What's the opposite of mushrooms? TV monitors. And so on and so forth. I mean, honestly, the movie practically wrote itself. I mean, don't get me wrong. This was the largest budget ever given to a film about a hedgehog, and we did not want to mess this up. Now, about 1/8 of our budget went into that Sega chant. Now, we found without the chant, most people would lose interest before the main title would come up. Yuji Naka was absolutely insistent on that chant. I remember we were at 3 a.m. trying to make sure it was just right, and some audio engineer was like, "Oh, can I please go home? My wife is in the hospital." And Yuji Naka walked right up to him and slapped him in the face so hard it broke his glasses. And tiny little glass fragments got into his eyes, and he was like, "I can't see." It was hysterical. After that, no one was making any selfish demands about spending time with their wife. I mean, we all have wives and children and body pillows that we wanted to go home and spend time with, but we were committed to finishing this project. Also, we had to let that particular employee go because he couldn't see anymore. He was useless. Oh, a lot of people think that this was filmed in LA because of all the trees, but it was really filmed up in Vancouver. Those trees were made out of plastic and painted linoleum. It's just cheaper to shoot up there. And there are laws about filming with deadly mechanical crabs and fish. They're surprisingly lax. Man, I I still cannot believe we were able to get Jaleel White for the role of Sonic. I mean, working with Jaleel was a treat. He was a class act through and through. You have to remember, Sonic came out in 1991, which was the same year as the third season of Family Matters. As you already know, Jaleel's character Urkel was originally just a recurring character in the first season, but he was such a hit that he would eventually become the primary focus of the show. So, it was a real honor to work with the hottest actor in Hollywood circa 1991. Honestly, the auditions for Sonic were absolutely crazy. Everybody wanted in on the action. I'll never forget Naoto Oshima handing me the phone saying, "It's Tom Cruise. He wants to talk to you." I grabbed the phone, and I hear Tom say, "Are you the guys doing the movie about that blue hedgehog who can run fast?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's right." So he says, "Listen, my agent just faxed me over the script, and I absolutely love it. I love to run in my movies. Your movie has 50% more running than any other script I've seen this week. We can do this movie however you guys want to, but there's just one thing I have to ask. For certain legal and contractual obligations, I really need you guys to call this movie Top Gun 2. I'm not asking you to change anything but the title, but I need this movie to be called Top Gun 2 for the legal reasons." So I say to Tom Cruise, "Listen, Maverick, you think you're hot shit just because you can ride a motorcycle and I can't. Well, guess what, buddy? I'm not willing to sacrifice the artistic integrity of this film just to get Tom Cruise because, listen, buddy, there's a line of people waiting around the block, waiting a mile long for this part, and there's a very good chance we get somebody even better than you." And then, guess what? We did. We got Jaleel fucking White. Seriously. I really wish that Jaleel could have joined me for this commentary, but he hasn't returned my calls since we recast Sonic and Sonic Adventure. I didn't want to do it. I personally was against the decision, but after Sonic and Knuckles, his contract was up, and he was asking for $100 million. Now, personally, I think he's worth that kind of money, but this was Sega. They were they were still hurting from the Saturn. I was on my knees begging them to pay Jaleel, but they just couldn't afford it, so it was nothing to do with that. People always asking me about that. I almost forgot. We put that invincibility TV up in the tree, but that was just an ad lib from Jaleel. He was like, "Wouldn't it be funny if we put the power up in the tree?" And I loved it, so we went with it. Just goes to show, some of the best moments can be totally ad libbed. You gotta respect a great actor's ability to improvise, and just run and internalize the character. So, as I said before, Dr. Robotnik is voiced by the talented Rick Leibowitz. And I mean, of course, Robotnik, the Robotnik you see on screen is an animatronic. I mean, unfortunately, Jaleel is such a wild card. We needed a machine that could react to his improv and how fast-paced it was. But the only way that we could get the results we wanted was to put a small animal inside the animatronic so it could, react. So, ironically, this is much like how Dr. Robotnik himself would have done things if he was in charge. Another interesting fact is that in one of our takes after the Robotnik fight, after the 8th hit, Jaleel decided to, do a little bit of improv, and he jumped on our spare animal capsule and ended up freeing all the spare animals. And they went jumping around, they went running everywhere. I mean, you see, the inside of the animatronic Robotnik, it would get really, really hot, and we just needed a lot of spare animals on hand. It was a very, very expensive blunder, though, and Jaleel's pay was severely docked. But test audiences loved that footage of the animals jumping out, and that capsule became a Sonic the Hedgehog staple. Of course, by Sonic 2, we weren't using real animals in the capsules. Those animals were animatronic, and they were usually controlled by an even smaller animal, like a mouse or a vole. That was just the most economic way to do things at the time. 90s were kind of like weird in that way. It was at the very beginning of CGI. CGI was crazy expensive. I mean, anyways, where was I? So Rick Leibowitz and me, we got finished doing some blow at the bathroom in the IHOP, and we were sitting down. And our waitress comes up and starts hassling us. I mean, she's getting all up in our face. I remember Rick was like, "Can I take your order? What the fuck is that supposed to mean?" Needless to say, we made sure she'd think twice before sassing another potential customer. Anyways, I remember when we were working on this movie, me and Yuji and Naoto were sitting in a cafe, and we were trying to come up with the ending. And we were just like, are we going to do this? Are we going to do this? It was awful. I remember we had just had our second cup of tea, and all of a sudden, you wouldn't believe it, this fucking long-tailed rosefinch landed right on the table. And it was right in front of us. I mean, it could have been a rough-tailed swallow, but I'm pretty sure it was the rosefinch. It was right after that we were able to agree on what the final zone should look like. Anyways, working on this movie was such a wonderful experience. I'm truly grateful to although everyone was able to work with such a great, talented company of people. I'm so grateful Sonic fans are so polite and not at all creepy or anything. And even those idiots at Sega betrayed my vision when they let Sega of America be in charge of Sonic 2. I'm thankful that I was invited back to be the director of Sonic 3 Knuckles, and I appreciate all the support you guys have given me over the years, and I'm very proud of this film. Thank you very much.